Hi, welcome back to Sunday School. Since we are in the month of December, we thought it would be nice to read a story that has to do with the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. Now, the Jewish religion and our religion share some of the same roots. Our Old Testament books and some of the characters that we know from that era are also found in the Jewish tradition. So the name of this book is called Just Enough is Plenty, written by Barbara Golden, with paintings by Seymour Wast. Malka's family lived in a village in Poland. They were very poor, but not so poor. They had candles for the Sabbath, noisemakers for Purim, and spinning tops for Hanukkah. Mama was busy preparing for tonight, the first of the 8 nights of Hanukkah. She peeled onions and grated potatoes for the latkes, or potato pancakes. Malka's younger brother, Zalman, carved a dreidel, which is a spinning top. The dreidel will spin the fastest of all, he boasted. Papa was working long hours in his tailor shop so they could buy more food for the holiday. More potatoes, more onions, more flour, and more oil. For on the first night of Hanukkah, Malka's family always invited many guests, but this year only Aunt Hindi and Uncle Shmuel were coming to visit. Only 2 guests, Malka asked. Last year we had so many guests that Papa had to put boards over the pickle barrels to make the table big enough. That was last year, Mama said gently. This year has not been a good one for Papa in the shop. People bring him just a little mending here and a little mending there. He cannot afford to buy new material to sew fancy holiday dresses and fine suits. But it's Hanukkah, Malka reminded Mama. Mama patted Malka's shoulder. Don't worry, Malakela. We know how to stretch. We're poor, but not so poor. Now go, ask Papa if he has a few more coins. I need more eggs for the latkes. Malka bundled up in her jacket and shawl, her scarf and boots. It was cold and snowy, and so windy, the wind chased her all the way down the street to the marketplace. She raced into Papa's shop. Mama sent me to buy more eggs. More eggs, more this, more that. Soon there will be no kopecks left, not even one for Hanukkah money. Malka stood still in the doorway. No Hanukkah money? Was Papa joking? How could she and Salmon play the dreidel game without even a kopeck? Malka, don't just stand there. Here, go buy the eggs, Papa said, and quickly. Aunt Hindi and Uncle Shmuel will be here soon. The coins that Papa gave her for the eggs jingled inside her pocket as she ran. Clink, 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 clink. Last year, Malka used her Hanukkah money to buy candy treats at the marketplace and sleigh rides around the village. Clink, 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 clink. But this was egg money. Malka carried the eggs carefully back to the house. She burst into tears when she saw Mama. Papa doesn't even have a kopeck left for us, she wailed. No Hanukkah money. Did Papa say that? Malka nodded. Her chin quivered, and she couldn't say another word. Mama wiped her hands on her apron and hugged Malka close. Was there ever a Hanukkah without a kopeck for a child to play dreidel with? Malka shrugged. She didn't know. Suddenly there were loud noises at the door, horses whinnying and stomping, and people shouting, Happy Hanukkah! It's them, Mama cried, and the latkes aren't fried yet. She ran to the door to welcome Aunt Hindi and Uncle Shmuel, and then she hurried back into the kitchen to fry latkes. When she finished, she put a coin in the charity box on the shelf, just as she did before each holiday and Sabbath. Malka saw her. What if that's our last kopeck? Malka whispered to Zalman. Then Papa came in from the shop, and the whole family gathered around the little brass menorah on the windowsill. Papa picked up the shamash, a special candle at the top of the menorah, and chanted the familiar prayers. Blessed is God who commanded us to light the Hanukkah candles. Blessed is God who worked miracles for our ancestors long ago. Zalman tugged at Malka's sleeve. What miracles? He asked in a whisper. You remember, the oil in the temple, the oil that burned for 8 days instead of only 1, Malka explained quickly. When Papa finished the blessings, he used the shamash to light the first candle in the menorah. The other 7 candle holders were empty, waiting for their turn on the other nights to come. "Sit down, everyone," Mama said, and rushed into the kitchen. Malka carried platters of latkes to the table as soon as Mama filled them. She saw Papa give Zalman the warning eye as Zalman piled 6 latkes on his plate. Papa came into the kitchen. "Is there enough?" he whispered to Mama. "Just enough," said Mama. When Malka put her last latke on the table, she and Papa and Mama sat down too. There was a knock on the door. "Did you invite anyone else?" Mama asked. "No," said Papa. He got up to see who was there. It was a peddler with a large sack on his back. He had white hair and wore a wrinkled black greatcoat and torn boots. "I saw the Hanukkah lights in your window," he spoke softly with his head bowed. Mama stood up and went to the door. "Come in. Join us." Just like Abraham and Sarah in the Bible, we always have something for the stranger who knocks on the door. Papa gave Mama a worried look, and so did Malka. "We can stretch the just enough," Mama whispered to them. "We're poor, but not so poor." Mama gave the old man one of her latkes. So did Papa. So did Malka, and Hindi, Uncle Shmuel, and even Zalman. Everyone ate the latkes with applesauce and sour cream. "I'm finished, Papa," said Zalman. "Can I play dreidel?" "Dreidel? I haven't played dreidel in years." The old man leaned forward and beckoned Zalman closer with his finger. "Do you have one?" "Oh, the fastest one in my class," Zalman said. The old man looked at Papa. "I have a few kopecks. The children could use them to play the dreidel game." Malka was glad and thanked the peddler. Now she would have a kopeck to play with, but still no candy treats or sleigh rides. No cousins or friends to fill the house. Malka and Zalman sat on the floor. So did the old man. He took turns with the dreidel too. Spin. Shin, put one in the pile. Twirl. Hey, take half the coins. Spin again. None. Take nothing. Twirl again. Gimel, take all. Just like the children, the old man made a face when the top landed on none, nothing, and he laughed when the top stopped on Gimel, take all. Then he taught the children songs with words that went around and around again. Once he sang the words loudly and happily, and once he hummed the tune quietly with his eyes closed. Oi, cheery, beery, beery, bim, bum, bum. Oi, cheery, 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 bim, bum, bum. Still singing, he grabbed their hands, and they danced in circles, whirling like dreidels themselves. Giggling and huffing, Malka and Zalman fell to the floor. The old man reached into his peddler's sack and drew out one book and then another. He read the stories in his soft voice. Some of them made Malka laugh. Others brought tears to her eyes. His stories were about kind people and cruel people, about angels and wonder-working rabbis, about beggars and miracles. Of all the stories, her favorite were the ones about Elijah the prophet, who would come back to earth to help someone who was poor but kind-hearted. One time Elijah dressed as a horseman, one time as a beggar, and one time as a magician. "It's as if the whole house were filled with guests," Malka told the peddler, "with the people of your stories." Later that night, after Aunt Hindi and Uncle Shmuel left, Papa made a sleeping place for the peddler. He piled straw by the stove. Before they went to sleep, the old man gave each child a kopeck to keep. "For your Hanukkah money," he said, "for some candy treats and sleigh rides around the village." Malka laughed. "How did you know?" The peddler smiled. "I know." Then Malka and Zalman tumbled into bed along one of the kitchen walls. "Good night, Reb." "Oh, I don't even know your name," Malka said. "I'll tell you tomorrow," the old man answered. When Malka awoke in the morning, she lay still in her bed, remembering her dreams about cruel kings and kind farmers, about the people in the peddler's stories. "I especially like the stories about Elijah," Malka said softly, hoping the old man was awake too. But when she looked for him, she saw an empty pile of straw. He was gone. "Mama, Papa, Zalman," Malka called. "Come quickly, the peddler is gone." She thought of the winter wind pushing him down the street. "Oh, I wish he had stayed. Didn't he know Mama can always make plenty out of just enough?" she said to Zalman. who looked disappointed too, and we don't even know his name. But wait, Mamma said. What's that over there? Did he forget something? Malka saw the peddler's sack by the door and ran over to it. There's a note, she said. Mamma, what does it say? Just Happy Hanukkah. This will help you, Mamma read. No name? No name. Malka peeked into the sack, and she recognized the book on top. It was the old book with the stories about Elijah. Malka gasped. Clutching the book, she turned to Mamma and Papa and Zalman. I know who the peddler is. He's Elijah. Elijah? You really believe that old man is Elijah the prophet? Oi, Papa said, sitting his head with his hand. He could be, Papa, Malka said. Remember how Elijah left things for the people he visited in those stories? But we are real people, not story people, Malkalea. And why would he leave his whole sack full of books? I'm a tailor, not a book peddler. Papa turned to the sack, and he took out one book after another. Big books and little books, old books and new books. About halfway down the sack, Papa stopped. He looked up, confused. There's a problem? Mamma asked anxiously. No, not a problem, Papa said hesitantly. Just... Once again he stooped down over the sack. They all crowded around him as he lifted 1, 2, 3 bolts of silk, and more out of the sack. Purple silk, green silk, dotted silk, silk with stripes and checks and flowers. Look what your Elijah gave us this Hanukkah, Papa said to Malka, and twirled her happily in the air. What fancy holiday dresses and fine suits I can make now. He took Malka's hand, and Malka took Zalman's hand, and Zalman reached over for Mamma. Malka turned to Mamma and said, I'm glad you're so good at making just enough be plenty. Laughing, they all began to dance and sing, Oi, cheery, beery, beery, bim, bum, bum. Oi, cheery, cheery, beery, bim, bum, bum. Oi, cheery, beery, beery, bim. So we hope you enjoyed this story, and there'll be some activities connected with it that you can learn a little bit more about the prophet Elijah.